I left Missouri in the spring of 1849, heart set on striking it rich in California. I wasn't alone. Half the town seemed to have had the same idea. We were all fueled by rumors of easy fortunes, nuggets just waiting to be picked up off the ground. So I packed what little I had and set out for the west, hoping to find my share of gold. Hell, the journey itself was a test of spirit. The overland trail was rougher than I had imagined. Endless dust, heat, the constant threat of disease stalked our wagon train. Many feel ill, their dreams of fortunes ending in shallow graves. Constant fear of Indian raiders kept us vigilant. We were all aware of the tales, and every twig snapping in the night forced us to our feet, providing little time for comfort and rest. The Sierra Nevada loomed ahead like an impenetrable wall that would break us, should we brave to cross it. Winter came early that year, forcing us to make camp in those tall mountains. We were cold, and we were tired, and we were running low on provisions. We resorted to unmentionable acts that haunted us to our last days. I finally made it to Auburn in the summer 1850. It was no more than a scrapping mining camp, but it was buzzing with hope. Men from all walks of life had come here, their eyes gleaming with the same greed that burned in mine. I pitched my tent alongside them. I set my tools down by the American River, and I started to dig. And boy, did I dig. I wasn't prepared for the back-breaking work. The sun beat down as we spent days in the dirt, sifting and panning and barely finding enough gold dust to keep our spirits up. I watched as others around me failed, some too broke to even buy food, others losing their mind, driven mad by the realization that the gold they had come for might never be found. By the time I'd been here for 6 months, the reality of gold mining had set in. The rich claims had already been staked out, and those who arrived later, men like me, we were left to scratch for what was left. I moved up to the ravine, but even there the pickings were slim. I spent hours knee-deep in the cold water, washing gravel through my sluice, hoping for a glimpse of that yellow that hardly ever came. The hardest part of it all wasn't just the labor, it was the constant competition. Men turned on each other. I saw fights break out over claims, often ending in blood. Thieves lurked in the camps at night, waiting to steal what little we had. In town, the prices were so high that even if you struck it lucky one day, you could lose it all on a single meal. Some folks turned to gambling or drink, drowning their sorrows in whiskey when their pans came up empty. But Auburn began to grow, slowly transforming from a rough mining camp into something more like a town. By 1851, shops and saloons were popping up, and the Chinese laborers were working alongside us, though not always welcomed kindly. The law was a shaky thing at best, and vigilantes ran justice with a harsh hand. I've been here nearly 3 years now. Some days I wonder if the dream of gold was even real at all. I've seen more men ruined than made rich. As for me, I've scrapped together enough dust and small nuggets to survive, but the riches I dreamed of when I left Missouri, they seem as far away now as they did when I first set out on the trail. Still, something keeps me here. Maybe it's pure stubbornness. Maybe it's the lure of one last find, a strike that'll make all this suffering worth it. Or maybe it's that I've learned to see Auburn not just as a place of riches, but as a place where folks are toughened by hardship and bound by the same struggle. I may never leave this place. It's become more than just a stop on my way to fortune. Auburn, for all its dust and difficulty, is my home now. Life was hard, no doubt about it. Many of us didn't strike it rich the way we had dreamed. But our trials and tribulations, the sweat and the hunger, the grit it took to survive, it laid the foundation for what you see in Auburn today. We carved this town out of the wilderness with our hands. And though the gold rush may have faded, Auburn stood strong, growing into a place of its own. As you walk through the streets of modern Auburn, the echoes of our past are everywhere. What was once a rough mining camp is now a charming town, but the spirits of those days still lingers. You'll see it in the Old Town district, where the original buildings we put up still stand. Now home to shops, restaurants, and galleries. The Placer County Courthouse, once a symbol of frontier justice, now holds exhibits that tell the story of our struggle and triumphs. The gold rush may be long over, but the history we made is alive in every corner of this place. From the restored railways that once brought supplies to weary miners, to the murals and monuments that honor the people who built this town from the ground up. Auburn today is a blend of old and new, a thriving community that remembers where it came from while embracing what it's become. Well, I hope you enjoyed our journey through Auburn, California, and thank you for your continued support of M&M Adventures. Bringing to life the first-person account of a character seeking fortune by braving the journey across the United States has been an interesting and insightful project. I certainly had a great time creating it. As we close out the year, I'm taking some time to be with my family, but I'm excited to return in January 2025 with new adventures and content. I'd love to hear your suggestions on what you'd like to see next, so please share your ideas in the comments. Until then, my family and I wish you a wonderful holiday season, and we can't wait to see you again in the new year.